That every time? Thanks. We do it, we watch it on, we're like 30 steps away, but we watch it all on Zoom. Crazy. Are we recording?
You are.
Okay,
Now you can introduce yourself.
okay. My name's Trey Watson. I've been in the business. This is my 6th year now. Started first 2 years with Remax, switched over here, and as you hear from everybody else, Keller Williams changes lives. It did the same for me. And I don't know what else is interesting about me, so probably nothing. I'm getting married. That's fun, to the woman that runs everything here, so that's cool. Easy access to information for me. She got the short end of the stick there. So anyway, real quick, I know I met a few of you guys. Can we just go around the room real quick and you guys introduce yourselves, if that's okay? Okay,
I'm Kate.
Katie?
I work with Mark Stewart.
Okay, cool.
I've been here for 3
Yep.
months.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Okay, cool. Hello. All right, Shane. Cool. Okay, cool. Tim? Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. Love it. Okay. How many of you guys have gone through a full transaction so far? Anybody closed one? Okay. 3. Okay. Attaboy. Rock and roll. Okay, cool. So you guys that have been through the process have seen the main points of negotiation so far. You guys that have not have seen it through. I know you are probably well aware with who your wife is, the process of the transaction and the points of negotiation, which is the main topic. In my mind, negotiation is just communication is all it is. So it's just a matter of being able to talk, communicate with somebody else, ask the right questions and know the right questions to ask. I think that's where the training probably comes in handy, is knowing what questions to ask there. So if at any point, I'm very informal, I don't really do the normal teaching. I wasn't a big education guy, never really liked school, so I don't like following a strict schedule. When you guys have questions, just ask. We'll do a big Q&A sesh after, I guess, too, as well. So, okay, so we're talking about negotiating. Does anybody have any, like, I know we've got a little bit of a structure here, but obviously you guys are going through everything in Ignite, and now we're kind of dealing with actual negotiations which is not the business side, not our lead gen and doing that stuff, but it's actually the process of a transaction. So the agent side of the job, not the business side of the job. Anybody have any questions right off the bat or anything that they want to touch more on? Okay, cool. You guys are not helping me. Okay, so we're focusing on negotiations. In my mind, negotiating is asking the right questions and understanding and listening. We see all the business movies and hear about being a tough negotiator, and in a lot of people's minds that don't understand that, it is bullying somebody into accepting your terms. That's one method of negotiating. That's not my style. My style, and I think the most effective negotiators are question askers and listeners and understanders, if that's a word, of one, what do we want? What's our side? I mean, what are we going for? What's our goals here? What's the most important thing to us? And then being able to ask the other side, what is their goals? We hear obviously about win-win situations and creating a win-win for everybody. And so in order to get our clients to the closing table, which is our goal, we've got to understand what the other side wants to, and how to make it a win-win for everybody so that we can get our clients what we want. Okay, so agenda for the day. We're going to break down the common points of negotiation. We're examining the 3 Ps. to negotiations. We're going to analyze counter tactics, role play a little bit with the 3Ps, and then recap and create your success list. And then obviously we'll go over daily success habits. The recap and create your success list, that's where I'll kind of run through our systems a little bit, and give you kind of an idea. Mackenzie, who had Lila, the lab, that is our TC, executive assistant, director of ops. Kind of, she wears a lot of hats right now. It's Alex Moore and I that have Missouri Home Sales. We're right up here, up the stairs in the little side hallway thing. So if you guys ever have any questions, come stop by. Our door's always open. So with that being said, we'll kind of walk through what our processes are throughout the whole transaction. You guys ask questions. That's what we'll kind of turn it into, a little bit of a mastermind for you guys that have closed one, and you guys that have been through. Tim, I know you kind of worked through some negotiations yesterday, the beginning process of it as well. And I got to see that a little bit. So you guys that have done it a little bit, you guys can share what you're doing, see what you've done from see what you've seen from other people, and then ask whatever questions you guys want. So we are, the next one, kind of going through again. This is where I'm going to be pretty informal here. Okay, so we're talking about how can your ability to negotiate affect the outcome of a deal. Obviously, if we're junkie negotiators, we're not going to get a lot done for our clients. If we don't get a lot done for our clients, they're not going to tell other people about us, and therefore we're going to be out of the business pretty quick. Deals, and we're not going to make any money. Some of the ways that you negotiate in everyday life. Can I get any examples on that? Anybody have any ideas on how you negotiate in your everyday life outside of work? Okay, give me an example. With our children, for anybody, I can't even see if there is anybody.
There's 7.
Is there? Okay, cool.
Um,
Okay, well, you guys that are online, type your name in there in the chat. Let me know who's there.
there you go. With our children, sometimes it's just even negotiating, getting them to brush their teeth or going to bed.
Yep.
You know, one more story. They're actually better negotiators sometimes than we are.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely. What makes them better negotiators, would you say?
because what they want, actually, I think because of what they want, their outcome, their goal is far exceeding what our goal is.
Okay.
Like to them, like they're more invested
Okay.
in
got
their
it.
outcome.
Because it directly affects them.
Yeah.
Maybe them brushing their teeth doesn't affect how our teeth operate.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Or if they don't want to go to bed, they want to stay up. So I'm going to convince you that I can stay up. And so that's what they want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Love that one. Kirk just said marriage. Hello, Amy. Hello, Amanda. Hello, Kirk. Marriage is a big one. That's one that I'm finding out about right now, which is fun. Anybody have any marriage examples or just relationship in general examples there on how a negotiation could come in a daily basis? How about chores? Will you clean the kitchen? Yeah, I'll clean the kitchen if I can go play golf, right? Hopefully Rachel's watching right now. There you go. There you go. Amanda said where to have dinner. This is a fun one. I know for me, it's where do you want to go to dinner? I don't care. You pick. It's like, well, I picked last night, so you pick tonight. I don't want to pick going back and forth. So, I mean, little things. Any other examples there that
You pick and they don't like it.
or you
so.
do pick? Where do you want to go? McDonald's? No,
Yeah.
somewhere else. Okay, well then I'm never picking again. Or Buffalo Wild Wings, whatever it could be. So, absolutely. Okay. So I mean, we're in a negotiation constantly. Another negotiation example is how about with yourself? How about, do I get up when the alarm goes off to go to the gym? Or do I read a book, or do I watch YouTube videos until 4 a.m. Doing nothing? Negotiations are happening constantly. And I think the biggest one is with yourself and choosing what you're going to do and how you're going to do things. That's Another one. How about great, negotiation can be looked at as a skill set. In my mind, it's communication, but what are some traits that would make somebody a good negotiator? Anybody answers there? Okay, in what way? Okay, cool. So you can't talk about something if you don't know about something, right? You can, you're just gonna look stupid. Do you have something there? Okay, cool.
I'm gonna say listen.
Thank you. Yep, Kurt just said it too. Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. Because if they don't get what they want, that's pretty cool. So good job there. To me, listening skills are the number one thing. If you don't have listening skills and understanding skills, you're not going to be able to negotiate anything because you're not going to understand what the other side wants. If you don't understand what the other side wants, you're going to spin your wheels and go nowhere.
Sell it to buyers. I've taken it to houses.
Okay.
We're looking.
Okay, cool. So what are some questions that you, when they are kind of nitpicky, what are, thanks for coming down. I don't know if you could hear or not, but we're talking about negotiations in everyday life. A couple of things that came up were where to go to dinner. And so when Buffalo Wild Wings gets vetoed, then it's like, what are we gonna do? Not the whole thing. I just said Buffalo Wild Wings. There's not a whole story there. So anyway, yeah, so all good. I didn't give anything away too bad. So, however, you'd have plenty of bad things to say about me if I said anything bad about you. So I'm not going to jump into that game. So listening, understanding people, one, our clients too. It starts with our clients, right? If we don't understand what our clients want, we're not going to be able to help them. Then when we find a house for them, when we've got to understand what the other side wants, if we don't understand what the other side wants, then we're not going to go anywhere. Which leads into why is asking questions so important when negotiating? It's all about understanding. If you don't understand, you're not going anywhere. And asking questions and truly listening, which is also a little bit of a piece for business, is having your clients trust you. I mean, you think of getting spam calls at 7:00 at night, wanting to sell you something. The first thing you hear when they sound pitchy and they're talking at you, I'm hanging up the phone. I'm not even listening to them. We're done right there. So in your buyer consults or your seller consults, if you're understanding what they're wanting and how they're feeling, and it's all about them, boom, that's when they trust you. They don't trust you when you're talking at them, talking about yourself, talking about what you've done. It's a process to help them. And so in order to help them, we've got to understand them better. Okay, the activity, brainstorm negotiation issues. So we're going to talk about, I went too far there. As far as in a transaction, you guys that have done one already, and you guys online that have done one, and even if you haven't gone through a full transaction yet, where are the issues that are going to pop up where we're going to have negotiation issues? And so that's an open question for you guys to answer. Yep. Okay, so what kind of issue? What specifically within that time frame?
I mean, they're too much.
Okay,
So, or they're not repairing enough things.
okay,
stuff
so
like
the
that.
inspection process, right? Okay, going through that. Anybody else? What other issues do we negotiate through a real estate transaction? Okay, perfect. Closing costs. What else? Refrigerators. Okay, cool. How about price? Right off the bat, number one thing, right? What else? Anybody online? Anything else? Have anything in here? Perfect. Closing date? Okay, perfect. The appraisal issue, which we've had a couple over the past like week and a half. I think we're about to start seeing some more appraisal issues like we used to. Okay, what else? I mean, extra stuff. What are you gonna leave with the house? What are they not gonna leave with the house? Things like that. There's, I mean, kind of throughout the whole process, we've got price, we've got terms, and all that. And then we go through the inspection period and we have the inspection issues that come up. And are they asking for too much? Are they not asking for enough? What are we doing there as far as all that goes? And then the appraisal are kind of the three main points there. So we've got the main contract. Amy said possession. So date of possession, are the buyers going to take possession early? Are they going to take it late? Are they taking it at closing? I think most of the time we're seeing it at closing, which is the safest for everybody. However, there's absolutely situations where buyers need to get in early. And that's a thing that normally pops up within the last couple of days of the process. So absolutely. So we're going to move on. Obviously, price and terms. We're kind of going to break those two things down. Price is straight to the point, black and white. We are determining a number that we are going to pay. Then that's affected by the terms. That's the closing costs. And then what's the seller going to leave with the house? Are they going to leave the ATV and the jet ski if it's a lake house or whatever it's going to be there? Terms, in my mind, kind of running through the contract without it in front of me. You've got price, you've got concessions or closing costs, you've got earnest money, you've got closing date, title company. You've even got contingency terms. Do the buyers need to sell a house first, or do they need to have it closed? Is it already on contract? What's going on there? Are we doing an appraisal? Is it a loan deal? Do we have a loan on the property? Does that need to get worked through? Obviously, we have difference in, cash and where we've got a mortgage involved, and how can that affect it? How can that affect closing date? If we've got an FHA loan, are we going to need a 45-day close? Going through that, are we doing an appraisal? Inspections is the biggest one. Slowing down, that's the biggest one that I slow my clients down on, and make sure that we explain a lot of these negotiation issues are going to be solved from your consults. When you're sitting down with your buyers, slowing down on the appraisal terms and explaining how the appraisal works. This is not taught in high school, how to buy a house. We don't have a class over that. People don't know how to do this. And it's not just first-time home buyers. It's the second, third, and fourth home buyers that that don't have the full knowledge of the process, right? So we got to have the knowledge of the process in order to fully explain that to them. So where I really slow down on the consults is the appraisal and the inspection, explaining the inspection period to them on both the buy and sell side so that we know what to expect. And then it makes it that much easier to negotiate once we get to that point. So we're not having to re-explain everything or explain it for the first time and they're overwhelmed and have no idea what's going on, kind of thing. So there. Next page. And is this where you guys have your books? Do you guys have anything in front of you? Okay. Let's take a step back. What questions on terms do you guys have? Anything over inspection processes, appraisals? Inspections, again, is the biggest point of issues in a contract where the most fall throughs happen is inspection issues. Do you guys have any questions there? As far as, I know you mentioned inspection stuff. Have you dealt with a situation there specifically?
Like, I was on the buy side, so not
Okay.
really that situation.
Okay.
My people asked.
Yeah.
When I went through.
Okay. And that's been one where the sellers have been in such control over the past year, maybe even 2 years, that inspections, especially when I first got into it, it's like, well, let's write everything down in the inspection report and have them fix all of it. And so then we got to slow down and say, okay, they're not going to do that. You're going to blow the deal up by doing this. Sellers have been in such control with it being the seller's market that everybody talks about, that buyers just know, hey, we can't go nickel and dime them here. We've got to go there. So once it slows down, that's where that inspection, you're going to see more of that, where the buyers are saying, well, there's 5 other houses that popped up last night. If they don't want to do it, we'll just go look at those kind of thing. So the market that we've been in, the scarcity of houses, buyers haven't been able to do that. And so now that we're getting, I say we're slowing down. I mean, I know we've seen a little bit of a slowdown on showings, and an increase in days on market. And if that continues, I know we're in the vacation schools out period. However, if we continue to get back to a little bit of a normal trend, then we're going to see more issues with inspections, one, and appraisals two. So any other questions on terms? Anybody's got? Oh, okay. Okay, so we're turning to page 6 is what I've got here. Does everybody have their participant guide? Anybody not have it? You guys can look. Perfect. Okay, cool. Everybody else have one? Okay. Okay, so we're just partnering up, get 1 or 2 partners, however you want to do that. I'm suggesting that you do it with someone new in the room or someone you haven't worked with yet. And you're just going to read through the list of negotiation tips. After reading through it, you're going to look back to page 5 in your participant guide, and select 1 or 2 common points of negotiation, and writing down what choices you've got there, what you choose there, and then brainstorm on how you might negotiate that point. Cut and dry, just get with somebody and talk to them about those issues and see what you think and how you guys would handle, and pick one specifically out so that you're kind of digging into that. How many different ones are there? I don't have them on here. You guys have page 5. Is that closing costs? Closing date? Okay, perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from this way over. You guys group together, you guys group together, you guys group together. Closing costs, closing date, conveyances, meaning what's going to come with the property, and brainstorm a little bit about it so that we've got a different one and we can kind of talk about each different ones. You guys online, pick either earnest money and option fee or repairs and type me out a response as to some tactics on how you're going to handle negotiating that or asking questions as well. All sides, just as far, so which one are you guys doing?
You don't see that it's in the contract in this. Yeah, right, or a mini fridge, you know. We're trying to keep it together.
You guys finished up? Wrap it up here in a second, guys. Ready? Be interesting. We're going to remodel a house. We're in the middle of remodeling a house right now, so. Fine. That was at her house. Yes. Yeah, that was her house. And so it was, I mean, and it was like, we had a termite inspector coming over and I went back there to let him in and he came around the back of the house. He's like, hey, I can't complete your inspection. Okay, why? He's like, come over here with me. And he opened up the crawl space door and there's like 3 inches of standing water down there. I'm like, oh. So ended up being fine. I went and bought a little dinky sump pump, kind of like a mobile sump pump from Lowe's, and it was out of there in like 4 hours. So it ended up being fine, but yeah, we're gonna have. Yeah, I think so. The gutters and the downspouts just weren't directed away from the house. And I never actually took that serious on an inspection report. I was like, yeah, whatever. It can happen, but it never has. So now it's like, okay, yeah, we need gutters and downspouts fixed. So, yep, all of it. Yeah. So we're gonna get the tubes that run like 20 feet away from the house now. Go put it in the neighbor's crawl space. Yeah. Well, we're trying to, hey, you got serious crawl space issues. You probably need to sell your house. Boom, listing. Okay, you guys go ahead and go first and then we'll get to online. I know we've got some good stuff there. What did you guys had closing costs, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What'd you guys talk about?
Well, what I've personally done, that's like, I mean, it's obvious. First, I like talk to the other agent on
Okay.
see kind of where they're at to
Okay.
kind of make. My first one was like 180.
Okay, cool. So,
That's just what I did, but
so in order for the seller to net their number of 180, we had to go up to 183.5 and ask for 3,500 in closing costs, right? Okay, cool. And again, the market that we've been in, we used to be able to offer $5,000 under and ask for 10,000. Not that way anymore, obviously. So in order to get the seller what they need, we had to make a change, and what we needed was the closing costs in order to help us out. That $3,500 over the period of 30 years is not going to hurt us that much, right? That makes our monthly payment tick up just a touch, but nothing crazy there. So absolutely. Any, you guys have anything else there? Okay, so any commissions on concessions, right? Okay, so if if our asking price is 180, the sellers have agreed to pay commissions based off of 180, right? So if our offer is 183.5, but we're asking for 3,500 in concessions, the seller's only netting 180 still, right? So we're not going to ask our seller, if we're a listing agent, we're not going to ask our sellers, hey, the sales price is 183.5. Our commissions are based off of percentage of the total sales price, right? However, they're asking for 3,500 in closing costs. So this $3,500 difference, you're not making any money off of, right? So we're not going to ask for commissions based on money that they're not making money off of. Does that make sense? Kind of, I know I probably rambled and jumped all over the place there. However, and if I do that today, just yell at me and tell me, hey, say that better, and I will, or I'll try. So essentially, if we're, I'm not going to write anything because you're not gonna be able to read it. If there's a point between the sales price and the concessions where we are going up in sales price to 183.5 because we're asking for $3,500 in concessions, and that seller is making no money on that extra $3,500, we're not going to ask our sellers to pay us based off of money that they're not making. Does that make sense there? Okay, cool. Anything else that you guys have? That's a good question. Nothing there? Okay, cool. What'd you guys have? Which one were you? Closing date? Uh-oh.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, cool. Cool. Okay. Okay, cool. So fitting the seller's needs of, hey, and that's a great question to ask when you call the other agent, say, hey, what's important here? And this is something that we do is we've got somebody that wants to buy a house. The first question or the first thing that we're doing is going to call the other agent saying, hey, one, in this time, how many other offers do you have on the house? To what terms are important here? What closing date's important? Same with everything else, closing costs, whatever it is. What's an important date to close for you guys? They may say 45 days. They may say we can't close for 45 days. Okay, great. We can wait 45 days. So we'll put that in there. Or we want to close as soon as possible. Awesome. We've got cash. We'll close in 5 days. We'll get you out of here. And that's going to help our chances. One, to get you a better price, to get your buyer a better price. Two, that's going to help us win when we've got multiple offer situations. If we're going to the other agent, can't tell you how many. We had one where I think there were 45 offers total on this house in the weekend, and we won it, which was kind of like, hey, we beat 45 other offers, and then it's also like, hey, we had the dumbest terms known to man in our contract. However, the way that we do that is we're going in and we are asking the questions and we're saying, hey, what's important to your sellers? If you can sneak them in there and say, hey, what's the other contract prices? Sometimes they'll tell you, sometimes they won't. However, hey, what would be an ideal close date for you guys? What would be an ideal as far as you guys leaving? Do you guys want to leave anything, the fridge, whatever it is? We can write that in. Do you want to take anything, whatever it might be there? Finding out what's important. And that close date is huge, especially for people that are still living in the house, because they might need to stay in it for an extra 60 days. And then boom, if you can rent it back to them, then you're putting them in a better spot and you get to make a little bit of money off of it too. So that's awesome. Okay. Anything else you guys had you want to mention? Okay, cool. What you guys had conveyances? Okay. Perfect. Okay.
To really have that.
Perfect.
which is
Bam. Perfect. Okay. So there's a common.
sorry, Amy.
Oh, there it is. Wow. They pop up on there too. Okay. Yell at me if you see
And
something.
then we said if it was gonna fall apart, we'll just buy them a refrigerator.
Okay. Perfect. I've had to buy refrigerators, not because I just wanted to either. So, okay. So Kirk said earnest money, getting it to them as soon as possible versus after the walkthrough period of 3 to 4 days. Amanda said, tell the clients that a huge amount of earnest money is not really required, just enough so the seller knows that they are a serious buyer. Absolutely. So we're minimizing our risk there, and setting our expectations so that we're giving and taking, which is negotiation, right? You got to give a little so you can take a little, and come into a compromise. That's very easy. Amy said, use the mic, everyone. So, repairs is another one. So that's inspection process, like we talked about here. Telling our buyers, setting a reasonable expectation with our buyers of what we're going to ask for on the repair side, and then setting a reasonable expectation with our sellers of, hey, there's going to be something wrong with every house. We'll go through it. Don't get too set on what we will fix and won't fix, because they might have 10 items, but they're going to be 50 cents a piece. So then we're spending $10 to get this stuff done. That's pretty easy. Kirk asked, is there a percentage that is standard for earnest money? No, that's a great question. No, there's not. I know it's different in every area. I mean, if you go out to California, it might be 5 or 10 grand. I think the most that I've seen here is $1,000. Actually, I think we had one the other day that somebody was asking for 2,000. There's not a standard for earnest money, on putting that in on a contract. We don't ever put earnest money on our contracts for our buyers. The reason for that is, in our mind, there's nothing really, there's not really a point with the way our contract's written. Basically, if the buyer wants to back out because of an inspection issue, they're going to back out because of that. And then if there's an issue with the appraisal, they're going to get out based on that. It really holds no other teeth. Obviously, if they just back out because they back out, then their earnest money will stay with the seller. However, I think the way that we do our buyer consults and work our buyers, we do it in a way that we're not backing out. We set the expectation so that they're not. As far as looking at it from a seller side, I give them the same spiel that there's really not a whole lot of teeth to our contracts when it comes to earnest money. So I really we don't see people just backing out to back out, especially the past year, as people are serious because they can't find homes. They're not just going to back out. And sellers have more power. So no, Kirk, there's not a percentage that's standard for earnest money. Quite frankly, I really don't care about earnest money because we're not seeing people back out right now. I think that you go back, and that really they weren't doing it 5 or 6 years ago when I started. No standard percentage. I would say $500 or $1,000 is typically pretty average though for what we're seeing there. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's where I would say that there's a percentage, but absolutely earnest money can make that stand out. Especially in those 8, 10, 12 offer situations. If you throw $1,000 down on there, it's more than likely not going to hurt you at all. Do I think it helps crazily? Not really. If you beat them on the other terms, then I don't think you need earnest money. However, if you can talk to the other agent, say, hey, what are the other terms? And you can figure out the best terms. And then your buyers feel comfortable with throwing $500 or $1,000 down as earnest money, do it. It's not going to hurt you at all. It absolutely helps you. And different agents will argue that it helps more than others will. In my mind, it's not a deal breaker. People aren't going to choose one offer because they have earnest money or they don't have earnest money. More than often they'll counter and say, hey, will you do earnest money because this other deal has earnest money? In which case we'll say, yes, we will. However, that's not one of the main points that I'm writing into a contract. My main focus is our price, obviously, first and foremost. If concessions are in there, then yeah, we've got to think about that. That affects price. And then we're talking about inspection period and appraisals and stuff like that. And then what conveyances we're asking for. we're not going to go ask for everything if they don't want to give it up. So yes, absolutely use it to help you. Is it necessary? In my mind, no. Other agents will argue differently. So anyway, any other questions? Good question there. And good question, Kirk. Anybody else? Okay, cool. Okay, we got through that. Now we're going to move on to the 3 Ps. They normally do breaks in this class. Okay. If you got, do you guys just want to bang it out and roll through everything? Okay, if anybody wants a bathroom break, get up and go. You're more than welcome. Okay, we're going to talk about the 3 Ps approach to negotiation. Prepare, present, and position. What we've got there is obviously we're preparing with our client, then we're presenting to the other agent, and then we're positioning ourselves throughout the rest of the transaction, which would be inspection stuff, appraisal stuff, whatever may come up there. This is kind of the before, middle, and beginning, middle, and end to the negotiation process. Preparing, all we're doing there is asking questions. We're finding out what we need to know, obviously, and then preparing our offer on paper. Okay, so is this, yeah, we're on that one. Negotiation is a skill that can be learned and perfected with experience. Guys, again, I'm sorry, I'm going to sound like a broken record here. Learning how to negotiate is all about learning how to listen to people and what specific questions to ask, and how to ask those questions. Again, we're not going in saying, hey, on your $500,000 listing, here's a $100,000 offer, take it or leave it, right? We'd get laughed at and then probably hung up on. So we're figuring out what's important. Price is easy to figure out, then the rest of the terms. And that's part of the preparation part of this, and bringing the buyer and seller together to create a win-win for everybody. And again, that's the way that I like to do things here. I mean, I think the bulldog mentality, there's still a lot of validity to it, and you hear a lot of people talk about it. However, in my mind, it's just so much more efficient when we're not bulldogging people and we're there to ask questions and get everybody to the closing table. Go ahead. Yeah, use the mic.
How do you keep buyers focused? I have a couple right now that they're looking at houses. But when they walk in the house, all they can see is everything wrong with it.
Okay, yeah, and I know we just talked about
I'm
that.
trying to keep them focused.
Okay.
On, look, if you like this house, they're not going to do all this, all the little nitpicky things. So
Okay.
reality.
Okay, so give me some examples of the little stuff that they're picking out.
Well, they didn't like the stove.
Okay.
Or, oh, look how the trim is coming up away from the side.
Okay.
That ceiling is
Okay.
just things like that. Now, I know some of it is cosmetic and some of it's some serious things that
Okay.
could possibly be wrong with it, but how do you keep them focused on?
Okay, so are they, did you say they're first-time home buyers? Okay, cool. So they probably haven't been, they have not been through the process before. They have never looked at a house for themselves, right, to live in.
Right, and this girl's 21.
Yep,
And she's
never done it before.
No, never done it before. She's,
Probably not overly handy either.
well, she's incredibly intelligent. She knows what she's looking
Okay.
for and knows what she wants.
Sure.
And she,
Would you know how to fix that trim though?
yeah, her boyfriend can do
And
it.
he could do it? Okay,
He's kind of dragging along like, yeah, I can fix that. Or no, I don't think you should do this.
okay,
Constantly like this at each other, and he's discouraging her, but she wants to do it. And it's
okay. So maybe, yeah.
he should stay at home, but he
Go
comes with her every time.
Look at them separately. Yeah, look at the same house, just at different times.
Her name's going to be on the contract. He's not going to be on the contract.
Okay, but they're buying it with the intent to live together. So then they're saying, hey, we're gonna get married at some point, so let's buy this together.
Yesterday, I was showing him a house, and he was really being discouraged.
Okay.
Walked out with her head down.
Okay,
I don't know how to.
okay,
I reminded her yesterday. I said, "Your name's going to be on the."
okay. Absolutely. So that's a hard one because one is buying the house. And so we see it as hey, it's your decision. They see it as a decision together, right? And so she wants his opinion, he wants her opinion, but then they both want to give each other their opinion, right? To me, that's about communicating what's important prior in the buyer consult, right? Which is incredibly hard to do. And that's the questions to ask before, which is the prepare part. And so.
Price is a little bit lower, but she keeps wanting to look at house.
Boom. Okay. Yeah. We're working through that right now as well with the client. So in my mind, this is what, so starting off, when I started off, I was 23, had no clue about anything here. My clients were all buyers and specifically first-time home buyers. So when you have that type of client, it's so incredibly important to set expectations prior to going to do all these things. In my mind, and we'll talk a little bit about here, know your client is the second one on the list. Having the sit-down consultation part and having the questions that you're going to ask prior to that is what's so important to me. Right. And so one, they've never done this before. They have no idea how the transaction works, right? They don't know what the processes are. They don't know what does an inspection look like? What if we get somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about and we miss all these things and, oh, we're going to have to do this. We're going to have to do this. Part of that is that, okay, the trim's falling off the wall. Okay, the inspector's going to catch that. We can ask the sellers to fix that. That's going to be a 30-second fix with a hammer. I could come do that myself. And I am the least handy person there's ever been. Going back to the consultation is two parts of that is one, sitting down and finding out what they want. So the prepare part of the negotiating is knowing what your client wants, right? Knowing what's important to them, price, size of the house, bedrooms, bathrooms. Some people want a house that if they had it their way was totally gutted and they could go do everything themselves. Other people want no maintenance. Other people want to be able to go into the house and not have to do anything to it. So part of that is getting to know what is important to them as far as how much maintenance do they want, what do they want to spend, what kind of house do they want, obviously that kind of stuff. Number two, the second part of my buyer consultation is setting expectations. And I actually have a sheet, I gave it to Alex, and I pulled it up and I hadn't used it because I just hadn't used it on paper. And after you practice it, you internalize it and then you talk about scripts and stuff like that. Everything's based around scripts. However, it's about internalizing it to where you're just talking. You're not a robot of, hi, I saw your house is expired. Would you be interested in hiring another agent to sell your home kind of thing, where it's robotic and it's salesy and whatever. So part of the consultation is setting expectations. And the last part of my buyer consult specifically, the seller side also, but is saying, here's what you can expect from me and here's what I need to expect from you. Okay. And the first part of the consultation is me asking, what do you think you can expect from me as your agent? And what do you think I can expect from you as my client? Then at the end, I'm the one in charge. I'm the one setting the expectation and saying, hey, here's how this process is going to work from a transactional standpoint of, okay, now we're in the looking at houses phase. Now we're in the writing a contract phase. Now we're in the inspection phase. Now we're in appraisal, yada, 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 all the way to closing. Two, here's what I'm going to expect out of you as my client. I'm going to expect timeliness. I'm going to expect you to make an appointment to go see houses. So one, we can respect my schedule and we can respect the seller's schedule if they're still living there. That way we have a clear definition of when we're going to do these things. Two, repairs. We're going to be realistic on repairs. And then I actually go into defining what does the contract say about the inspection process, which is, and I think that it's still termed like this, and there is latent defects. So anything that is not operating correctly with the house, the trim should be snug up against the wall, right? So if it's popping off, there's an issue with the trim. We're not going to ask for the trim's ugly in color, and you're going to ask the seller to change the color. The drapes are ugly. We don't like that. Those are from 1965. We want different drapes. We're not asking them to do that kind of stuff. So walking them through that and setting the expectations in the buyer's consult that, hey, here's the way the inspection process works. Here's the way the looking at the houses process works. We're going to see if you like the house. We're not going in to look at the little minor details of, oh my gosh, that trim could look different, right? We're going in, do you like the layout of the house? Yes or no? If you don't like the layout of the house, there's no point. Let's move on to the next one. No big deal. However, if you like the layout of the house, then let's talk about the other little things. If it's a matter of the trims popping off the wall, guys, we can have that fixed in 30 seconds. Let me go get a hammer and nail out of the truck and we'll be done. And that's fixed. As far as appliances go, okay, what does it look like if we could get a lower price on the house? Does that free up some money for you guys to go and buy new appliances so that you would like that kind of deal? So then it's about asking questions on, after we set the expectations of what are we doing and what do they want initially, then what they don't like, okay, what do you not like about it? What's important about the stove is ugly? What's important to you about that? What kind of stove would you like? And that way, then we're constantly refining what they want. So we know specifically what they want and they feel heard at the same time. And I think that's the biggest issue with buyers is they don't feel like they're being heard. They're like, okay, we're just getting showed 20 houses. We didn't even like any of them. Why did we go look at any of those houses, right? And that's kind of an older issue. I don't know that we hear that as much now because there's nothing on the market and they're sending us the houses they want to go look at before we see them on the MLS most of the time anyway. So one, setting the expectations of what does the process look like in the buyer's consult so that we can say, this is the step that we're in. This is the next step. This is how the step's going to go. So they have the clear cut expectation of here's how we're going to do this. If we see little minor issues in the house, we can address those later on. We can get those taken care of. However, the main purpose of looking at a house is, do you like this house right now? Do you want to continue to pursue this house? And then it's a yes or no kind of deal. So I
Don't you
just
think
totally
it's-
drug that out. I'm sorry, but
Don't you think it's normal though, when you walk into a house, knowing that you're going to be spending a lot of money on it, just along with it? So that
absolutely.
you're putting a lot of money into it.
Sure.
So I'm going to look for wrong things
Uh-huh.
because I don't want.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And I think that where you can set that expectation, again, I'm going to beat the consult thing to death. However, where you can set that expectation is, guys, there's going to be stuff wrong in every house.
Right.
If you're going into it with an inspector mentality, you're not going to like any house that you look at. And we're going to run our wheels and you're never going to find a house and then you're never going to be able to buy a house. There's going to be stuff wrong with every single house. Absolutely. You've got to know that going into this. Now, once we get into the house, let's address each issue. And then let's let the inspector address the issue and see if it really is something major. If the trim's coming off the wall because there's water damage back there, bigger issue than just hammering in a nail, right? However, to your point, as far as them going in with the mentality of let's go find the stuff that's wrong, that expectation is set beforehand in the consult when we're going over the inspection period. When I'm saying, hey, here's how the inspection period works, guys, there's going to be stuff wrong with every single house. And typical inspection lists, when we get an inspection back, more than likely the inspector is going to call 30 or 45 things out that's wrong with the house. So that way we're setting the expectation of, oh my gosh, there's so much more than just paint and lipstick that goes onto houses that makes them tick. However, some issues are more serious than others. Others can be addressed that aren't that big of a deal. So they know there's going to be issues wrong with the house before they even walk into it. And then that way they can go into it with the mind of, okay, this is not going to be a perfect house. Even brand new houses have inspection lists of 15 or 20 items that pop up on them. So setting the expectation beforehand that there's going to be stuff wrong with the house, so that they know going into the house not to look past stuff, but to not let the little stuff affect their minds as much as it would, because they're scared right now. What that boils down to is they're making a huge investment. They're spending more money than they've ever spent. They're taking on a ton of monthly responsibility with the payment. They're scared. They've never done it before. They're taking a huge leap of faith. And so, yeah, they have every right to be picky and say, hey, this freaks us out a little bit. But then it's, hey, totally get it. Absolutely. I get how it's going to freak you out. However, let's talk about this and move forward from it, because anything can be fixed. It just comes down to a dollar amount. If the dollar amount doesn't match up and it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, kind of thing. So again, I drug that out way too long. However, does that does that give you a little bit of clarity?
It does, yeah.
Okay.
If I could just take her out without her boyfriend, that would be great.
Okay,
He's in
well,
the- he's in
find
the
out
back
his work
room.
schedule and say you can only show her houses during that time.
You can hear him in the back room going, "Hey, what are you looking at?" We walk back
Uh-huh.
there and it's like,
And a lot of times that's validating
"Mhm."
their feeling is saying, yeah, definitely, that is an issue. I see where the concern is. Um, if you like the rest of the house, we can get somebody over here to check that out and see how much it'd be to fix. Then once we know that, then we have more of an educated guess, and the inspector is going to call it out. If we can see it, the inspector is going to see it. So we'll make sure when we get the inspection done that we're calling the inspector and telling him, hey, make sure you check this out and note this on the inspection so we know what we're looking at, kind of thing. If they feel validated and they feel heard, then that'll put their mind at ease in the sense of, hey, totally see the concern here. Let's go find a solution, kind of thing. So provide the solution, validate the problem, find the solution, and most of the times they're going to say, okay, yeah, let's go find a solution, versus them just shutting it down and saying, there's a problem. We don't even want to deal with the problem. If they're going into every house saying, if there's a problem, we're out, you need to fire them. So that's a little bit dramatic, however, it is what it is. Anybody else have anything in here? Questions there? Okay, Amanda did ask a question. How should I counsel my buyers who have a contingency on their offers? We have written 5 offers, all were rejected. They are not hearing me when I tell them they need to list their house. What would you advise? Well, I was going to say, let them write 5 offers and all get rejected, and then they'll figure it out. However, if they're not figuring it out, that's a different story. Another dramatic answer to follow that dramatic answer up is tell them that you're not writing another offer for them until they list their house. Part of that would be, and you'd want to find a different way to say it, because they're going to hear, well, I don't want to work with you, unfortunately, is what they're going to hear. So figure out a different way to put that and saying, hey, here's the deal. We've written 5 offers, and all 5 times it's been the same thing. We are not going to win any offers because there are multiple offers on every house. They have at least asking price. We're going to have to beat them on price, and we're going to have to beat them severely on price, which then puts us at an appraisal risk. Then we have an appraisal issue, and then we're going to sell your house, and then you're going to be homeless because we can't come to an agreement on the appraisal issue on your new house. That is a tough one. And I think that can be, that's tough because you've already experienced it. There's not an expectation to set. They've already experienced the expectation. But kind of going back with them and saying, hey, we've written 5 offers, whatever the English is there. And none of them have gotten accepted. And it's all been because of the contingency. No one is going to accept your offer with a contingency right now because there's so many other buyers out there to compete with that don't have contingencies, that we're going to keep spinning our wheels until we do this. Then, Amanda, kind of what we just talked about, it's about coming up with a solution to the problem. The problem is, just like everybody else, they don't want to list their house and then not find a house in time and be homeless, right? So then that's a conversation of, how do we get around that? What can we find? Is there friends and family that we can stay with? Can we put stuff in a U-Haul or get one of the big box things, whatever they're called, pods? And can we get an Airbnb for a few days while we're in there, even a couple weeks? Is there what solution can we come up with? And I would say that's the biggest point of negotiating is coming up with solutions to problems or roadblocks where the buyer and seller can't agree on something. So, Amanda, I think that is, it's a conversation of figuring out the solution to their concern. More than likely is they don't want to be homeless. However, if they really want to buy a house and move right now, they're going to have to take a risk and get that contingency removed. Or I guess another thing would be, another solution there is, do they have family members that they can go to if they have to sell their house first to get that money? Can we get that money from somewhere else? Can we ask a family member for it? Can we ask a friend for it? Whatever it may be there. And that's tough because most people don't want to go ask for money. However, one more solution, and most people are going to be open to that solution. It's a lot of people think it's going to be weird talking about finances and where can they go get money. However, if they're trusting us with the biggest purchase they're going to make, they're trusting us with their financial information and what they've got to offer and how they're going to go about stuff. So, Amanda, I hope that helped a little bit. Let me know if you have any other follow-up questions there. Any other questions? Those were two really good questions, two really good topics there. Okay, awesome. Thanks, Amanda. Anything else you guys can think of?
Like, I mean, this is just another question, kind of off topic, but so I have somebody that's looking SDA,
Okay.
and she's under 35 in Bolivar, and there's just nothing, everything that pops up wouldn't pass the USDA inspection. I've only gone to show her one house,
Okay.
and that was it. So I mean, because she's getting a little bit discouraged, and I've provided her solutions like, hey, you know, there are options to do 100% financing that is a convention.
How come?
I think it was a down payment. I think that was.
So if it's 100% financing,
Well-
there wouldn't be a down payment.
Oh, I know I messed that up.
Okay, you're
I'm
good.
confusing myself.
No,
So
you're
I
good.
don't know. She just didn't want to do it, and so,
Okay.
so I just have no idea what to do with her, and
Okay.
obviously everything involved super hot. It goes off super quick. So
Yeah.
it's like I have no idea what to do in that situation. You know, like pop-ups that'll even pass her price range.
Okay, cool. That's incredibly hard, and that's what everybody else is dealing with too. Essentially, we're all in the same boat there. The biggest solution there is go find something off market. That's easier said than done, without a doubt. It sounds like she's ready to go. She's motivated.
Oh yeah.
Right? She's got her pre-approval done. You guys are looking for something to go buy, but there's nothing that's going to pass USDA inspection. The first option is to be patient and wait. That sucks,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's not what we want to hear. Now, moving forward, I think that's where open houses are I mean, that's kind of prospecting a little bit, which helps you and helps your business. So we're going to switch genres here to lead gen a little bit, but go prospect up there. Go prospect in areas that are going to be 135 or under. Go hold open houses. I mean, go call people from other brokerages when houses pop up. Go do that. I know we've had people do that. Go hold open houses on for sale by owners even, which is a different concept. However, go door knock, go do everything over there in the areas that are 135 or under, and go drum something up, and then boom, you get the seller side also for that. Or you can wait till something pops up. However, 135 in Bolivar is incredibly tough right now. So on the proactive side, you're going out and you're lead generating. You're talking to other agents, seeing what they've got coming up in Bolivar. That's incredibly hard too, because any halfway decent agent is not going to sell you something off market. They're going to take it to the market if they're looking out for their client's best interest. Unless their client's best interest is not taking it to market. However, that's not very common. So talk to other agents and go prospect, essentially. That's not the easy answer. There's not an easy answer there. So anyway, does that help you out a little bit? Not what you want to hear, but that's what there is to hear.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Anything else? As far as that goes? Okay, cool. Okay, now let's get back into it. Bit of a rabbit hole there. I love it. Well, and that's part of why I'm so bad with like scripts and structure and stuff like that, is because I love diving into little things where there's so much more valuable information through those questions than there is on know your goal, know your client, think ahead. It's like, duh, you hear these things and it's duh. However, there's little nuggets in there that are awesome. So, okay. So we're on page 8 and we are on the prepare. So prepare, present, position. We're on prepare. This is where we are learning and creating basically the structure for our office. So we've got know your goal, know your client, think ahead, set clear expectations, be informed, obey the laws, know the documents inside and out. A lot of this stuff seems like common knowledge, and of course we need to know our client, and we need to think ahead, and obviously we have to obey the laws, whatever. That was a joke, by the way, obey the laws. Know the documents inside and out. So we're preparing, we're knowing that we've got the knowledge of the documents. We've got to know what we're talking about. That's part of the prepared. Know what documents we need. Do we have a USDA buyer that needs a government loan writer, stuff like that. So we've got to know the contract first and foremost. 2, know your goal and know your client. Then we're getting into that. Your goal, if we're working with a buyer here, your goal is to get them the house that they want for terms that are acceptable, right? This is what's really, really tough, where Alex Moore and I struggled. He came into it with the investor mentality, and it was, in his mind, he's going in to negotiate this whole deal down to where it'd be an investor deal. I had all of my experiences been on the sales side and with buyers and sellers, not with investors really. And so it was hard for him. He'd come in and say, hey, they're buying this house at 165. We got countered at 165. And I said, okay, well, what do the comps say? And he said 165. And I'm like, so why are you pissed off then? It's like, that's fair market value. He's like, well, that's not a good deal. I said, okay, there's 2 different mindsets here. We're buying for a good deal. We're buying because we like the house. If you like the house, you're going to have to pay fair market value for you, right? That's part of know your client. Are they deal people, or are they serious about finding a house that they like? There's not a right or wrong situation, but you've got to detail it to what they want. So if they have a true investor mindset, and they're looking for a deal, that's great, but they're not going to pull the trigger on something that is priced at fair market value, right? With that being said, they're going to be harder to work with because there's no deals right now, right? That hit the market anyway. And so that part about it is knowing your client, knowing your goal. Are we out here for a deal, or are we out here to find the house that's perfect for them? If they're looking for a house that's perfect for them, they're going to pay fair market value for it, and it's going to be much easier to work with. We're thinking ahead, setting clear expectations. Boom, consultation. Set those expectations beforehand so we know that what we're going to do, and we know that this is how things are going to work. Be informed, obey the laws. We're well aware of all that. Pretty much. Obey the laws, or just don't get caught. A joke again, if Rachel is listening. Okay, so we got that. I don't know if that moves that or not. Okay, we're going to take a quick break and let you guys get up and move around a little bit real quick, and we're going to come back for the rest of Lauren. We've been for an hour and 15 minutes, and I get antsy after 15 minutes. So you guys get up, go to the bathroom, make calls if you need to. If you don't have anything to do during this, if you don't need to go to the bathroom, if you don't need to do anything, pick up the phone and call somebody that you haven't talked to in the past few months, few years. Somebody from high school or college or a past job is the easiest call to make. Call somebody and ask them who they know that is interested in buying. A fun kind of reason to call is because you're in a competition. You're in a training class right now, competition to see who can get the most leads in the next 5 minutes. And you're trying to win that competition. Tell them you're going to win a car or something, doesn't matter. And come back. So I'll let you know when you come back. But it's really nice. Yeah. Okay. You guys get up, move around, make calls, text, whatever you need to do. We will start back at 5:20, 2:20. Long break. While we're in this break, I know we're talking about negotiations, but does anybody have any questions about anything else related that they want to talk about, or any experiences that they've had? What are you smiling at? You smile at something real estate related, or you see a funny video? Okay, cool. I thought you were gonna talk about something funny you had. Any other questions, though, about anything else? Lead gen? Closing stuff, inspection stuff? Guys online, feel free to join in too. Do I do lead generating? So that's kind of a funny question. Anybody online? Kirk had a couple questions too. So lead generating, I'm doing more lead generating now than I've ever done, actually. Yeah. And so that's kind of funny that you asked that. That's where we're at right now in our business is refining the lead generation and the lead generation tactics or avenues, if you will. What lead generation and finding out what works for you. Up to this year, I guess, all of my businesses come from sphere and referral. Now, the lead generation that I've done has been within the sphere and referral, which is just easy, right? It's easy to talk to people you know. Now, and that's what I thought. Now, there are a lot of people who think that it's easier to talk to people they don't know. Is it? Okay, so you'd rather talk to somebody on the phone that you have no idea who they are, right? Okay, so that's where I'm getting into now. And that's, I mean, I started off calling expireds and FSBOs and stuff like that. However, expireds didn't last very long because I think the first or second time I called an expired, he yelled at me and cussed me off the phone. And I was like 23, new in the business, didn't know anything about being an agent or the transaction side. So I was like, what if that guy asked me about an inspection period? And I had no clue. And then he would yell at me and cuss me off the phone again. I was like, okay, so not doing that again. However, as it went along, it's easier to make those phone calls. So with that being said, the lead gen that I've done over the past 5 years has been sphere and referral, which is meeting with friends of those friends and growing the database that way, right? So it's face-to-face, that's what I like to do, is face-to-face interaction and getting to know people on a personal level. Now, however, a big conversation that we're having right now is efficiency or quality versus quantity, kind of, right? So efficiency or effectiveness, if you will, being able to do it based off of sphere and meeting people based off of your sphere, right? So if I have these 20 people that are in my sphere now, who can I go meet that they know? So it's an easy connection, right? That's great because I love the face-to-face interaction. I love building relationships. That's where I'm good at. Alex is great on cold calls. Alex just goes through and knocks cold calls out. Whereas I like the relationship side of things. So I'm very, very effective in those relationship building, getting to know somebody. It's repetitive. However, it's not the quantity side of lead generation, right? Being able to go through and dial number after number after number, you're going to make so many more touches. Therefore, it makes it, you've got the quality in the quantity, right? Because the more touches you make, the more homes there are going to be to sell, whether it's on the buy side or the sell side. And so that's where I've had to change my mindset. And my mindset has changed a lot. And Alex has been a big part of this, is helping me to see growing the business. Before, it's been, how can we get this done as soon as possible and get to the golf course, right? Great way to live when I don't have responsibilities, don't have family, stuff like that, and not really looking for the future. I was at the golf course every day. I mean, I did it last year. I did just under 4 million, and I was still able to be at the golf course by 3 or 3:30 every day, right? So it's efficient in the sense of, if you're face-to-face relationships, you have a better chance of sealing that deal. When you add the quantity, there's going to be more deals in that. And so that's where my mindset has changed, is let's go build a business, and having that pushing from Alex and having him to be there and have the big vision and push me a little bit there. It's been, okay, we've got to get more quantity. No. So actually, no. The majority of our leads are still sphere-based, actually. I'm trying to think. My leads this year of all the business that I brought in has been sphere referral based. And as I've built my database from personal connections, I've been able to grow that database to where my web just reaches more people, right? So first of all, I'm from Springfield. I went away for college and then came back. So I've got contacts from people that I just knew from going to high school with and friends and friends of family and stuff like that. But then I've been able, and it's funny you brought this up because I want to go over this at the end too, is just be able to make more contacts from those contacts and grow that database, because I haven't been about overly rapid growth until this point. It's been about steady growth and enjoying the time that I have and enjoy my time and my free time. That's changed a little bit now, but I've been able to, because I've had less responsibility, basically not grow as rapidly and enjoy my time. Now that things are changing a little bit, different mindset. Okay, let's go build a business to where we can take on different responsibilities and have different opportunities for the future. Let's get back on that at the end, because that is something that I do want to talk about. And of course, in Ignite, we're going to talk about lead gen, because that's the most important thing in a business, and why so many people get out of this business is because. But to me, it's all about finding your niche on how you lead gen. I think it gets broken down. There's like 23 different ways to lead gen. Go pick 2 or 3 of them and get really, really good at that. That's kind of thing. Let's get back to that though, because that's a fun conversation. Okay, so we're getting back into the prepare stage, and we're learning about what we need. Open-ended questions versus closed-ended questions. And we're going to kind of speed up because I think we're a little bit behind here. However, open-ended questions versus closed-ended questions. Open-ended questions allow you to get more information out versus closed information. Closed-ended questions give you a yes or no. Open-ended questions allow the other people to talk. Open-ended questions is how you find out so much information, but you got to get your foot in the door with the closed-ended questions in my mind. So when we are talking, Kirk, I know you asked a question. We're going to get to that at the end if you just heard that. So when I'm talking to another agent, if we're going to go put an offer in on a house and we've got the buyer, and I'm talking to the listing agent and we're saying, hey, when do you guys need to close by? And then it's very simple. They need to close in 30 days. Okay, great. Then we ask the open-ended question of what's important about closing in 30 days, right? In my mind, it's a closed-ended question first. The way I like to communicate, negotiate, it's a closed-ended question first. Get a yes or no, make it black and white for me. I'm a black and white person. Tell me how it is, and then we'll figure it out. Make it black and white, and then let's figure out why, and then figure out if there's things that we can tweak later on. So what do you want? Just tell me what you want. I don't care what you want, but tell me what it is, and then let's figure out how to get it from there. So on here, do you have to sell your home by a specific date? Yes, we've got to sell it by July 30th. Great. What additional information should I know about you guys closing on July 30th? What's important about a 30-day close? But going back to the close-ended questions, this is where I think there's a lot of agents that are scared to go ask another agent these straight to the point, blunt, black and white questions. Do you have any other offers? Yes, we do. Okay, great. What are they? Boom. You have other offers, open-ended question. You're going to be very, very surprised at how many agents will just word vomit to you. And you think that saying, hey, what are the other offers? Most agents are going to say, well, I'm not going to tell you that. But you're going to be very, very surprised. You say, okay, and figuring out a different way to ask that question. I think one of the questions that we ask that is awesome is, what do we have to do to win? Which is what a lot of people are doing now too. But hey, what do we have to do to win this offer? Tell me what terms we need. And a lot of the times they're going to word vomit on you, and they're going to tell you everything that you need to know. Another part of that is if they shut down, don't be afraid to ask again, or ask in a different tone. So if you say, hey, what are the other offers? And they say, well, we can't really give that information away, yada, yada, yada. Okay, great. What's an important close date then? Let's get a close-ended question answered first, then let's move to the open-ended questions and dig into it a little bit more. So we're going in with a specific question. If I come to you and say, hey, we just looked at your listing, what are your other offers? One, there could be no other offers. Two, they're going to be less likely to give up information if they're just saying, hey, give me this, versus if I come and say, hey, do you have other offers? Yes. Okay, great. What do we have to do to win? Where do we have to be? Part of that is also telling them exactly where you're at. You're saying, hey, we're an FHA buyer. We're a USDA buyer, right? We've got to have 45 days to close. what other terms do we need to have in there to get this done? And they'll tell you, well, we've got one conventional already. Boom. If you know your USDA going against a conventional loan, you're going to have to beat them on price, right? If you're tied or you're lower on price, obviously, they're not going to go with the USDA loan over a conventional loan because a conventional loan is safer for their clients. So a lot of this for me is asking blunt, straight to the point questions. A lot of the time, these closed-ended questions, they'll just keep talking. And we just need a yes or no. Hey, do you have any other offers? Yeah, we've got 3. 2 of them are conventional. One of them's cash. One of them needs to close here. One of them needs to close here. One of them asking for the moon and stars. So we're probably not going to do that. And they'll just keep blabbing. The biggest thing that we do to win buyers' houses, which is when you're preparing, is asking what's important to you. And we kind of skipped over knowing your client, right? Because we've got to know why they're doing certain stuff. What's important about maintenance free? What's important about this close date? Stuff like that. And we're moving towards the agent a little bit, but don't be afraid to go right after the agent and ask specific questions and be black and white with them and say, hey, I'm being black and white here. What do we need to do to win this offer? And you'd be surprised. There's definitely some out there that won't tell you. That's fine. Then we're just guessing. However, you'll be very surprised with how many will actually go through and tell you what exactly you need to do. And I think that's the biggest problem right now is having a buyer not being able to find them a house or losing out on deal after deal after deal to where we've got to go write 5 offers like Amanda talked about earlier, and we're just not winning them. So telling the other agent exactly what to do. Okay, Amanda, I was told to do 40 to 45 day closings even on conventional to account for. That's something we still need to be doing. Not in my mind, Amanda. So she asked if we need to do 40 to 45 day on closings. Not in my mind. If that appraiser picks up that deal or that house and they see their closing date on it, they're more than likely going to get it done. If they don't, yes, you take the risk of the seller backing out because we don't have the appraisal in. However, more than likely we're through that process. As long as you set your appraisal date to run through the end of closing, you're not going to be out any for your buyer. And the sellers at that point, if we're 2 days out from closing and the appraisal still hasn't come in yet and we need to push closing back 2 days, more than likely they're going to rather spend that 2 days than put their house back on the market. So I would not put 40 to 45 day close on a conventional loan. However, ask the other agent what's important, what's an important close date. So you know what's important to that seller to help you get your offer accepted. Okay, so what we got up here, what would happen if, why is this important to you? Again, we're asking questions. We're asking why. Why is this important? Why is this important? Why isn't this important? We've gone over the terms that have negotiations involved. However, ask what's important about every little detail. That's, again, we're beating a dead horse here. But we're just asking questions. Okay, so read page 9. Who's got this out in front of them? I can't read, so I need somebody else to do it. Yeah.
Renting property. Like any first-time buyer, she's looking to you to guide her through the process. Asking price for the home. House appears to have evidence as is, and is client would like to keep her payments as low as quite a bit of activity on the listing.
Okay. So what's the first thing we're doing? She said she wants to buy a house. She specified the house. What do we do now? Got other offers.
Ask her what's her best and highest.
Okay.
How high
How high is she willing to do?
Or if she didn't get it, Brett's it, what would she say that she?
Okay, so coming back, if she doesn't get it, what could we have done differently there? I like that a lot as far as going back and talking to your client. Boom, Amanda brought this up earlier. We've written 5 offers. Go back and say, hey, what could we have done differently here? What do you think we could have done differently here? This lets them feel heard and validated. Well, I think we should have done this. Boom, you know how to help them differently. I think there's a lot of people that are scared to ask their clients, what could we have done differently? Because they don't want hear their clients say, well, I wish we would have done this differently or this differently. And then we're like, oh crap, I just did a horrible job. Now they hate me. They're never going to like me. They're never going to talk to me again. If we push the problem under the rug, it'll go away. Right. I love that idea of going back to them and saying, hey, what do you think we could have done differently here? And it's not a matter of you're out of ideas. It's a matter of ask them what their ideas are, and then we can talk about it and come up with a solution together. Because there may be something that we're not even thinking of, right? Or they're not telling us. That's the hard part, is we have the expectation that they're just going to word vomit everything. They're going to tell us exactly what their situation is and what they're wanting. Not the case, right?
I think sellers, what I've experienced so far is that don't want to offer too much because they want to be more on the conservative side, when all along in the back of their mind, they're thinking, well, I could go higher, but I'm not going to.
Yep.
Highest and best that you can do that you would.
Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of people are scared to ask that question too, because then they think their clients are going to immediately jump to, well, he's just trying to get me to offer higher so he can make more money on the commission side, right? However, if we set the expectation that there's going to be 5 other offers on any house that we look at, then they already know that we are going to have to offer our highest and best, more than likely. Now, if it's priced at 155 and they say, yeah, well, we'll go up to 250, we're probably not going to do that. So it's about being realistic, but part of that is building the trust with them so they know that they can tell you what their thoughts are. And I think a lot of people are afraid to feel stupid and ask stupid questions. And so they just don't ask any questions. And now we're all in the dark and we have no clue what's going on, right? Part of that is building the trust with them to say, hey, we're going to give you the right opinion. Tell us what you're thinking. We'll tell you if we agree or not. If we don't agree, you're the expert, so lead them through it, right? What else? What other questions are you going to ask your client?
How much work they'd be willing to do. This house, for example, is as is and it already has a roof leak.
Sure. Okay, so what could go into what they could do to a house, right? So if the roof has a leak, let me ask that in a different way. If the roof has a leak, we've got to get it fixed, right? So either they're going to fix it or they're going to hire somebody to fix it. If they're going to fix it, do they know how to fix it? Or are you going to go up there and put spiky shoes on and put more holes in your roof, right? Because we don't want to fall down. Or are they going to hire it out? Okay. If we've got somebody buying at 155, are they a first-time home buyer? Do they have the cash, right? Do we have the money? Because guys, a leak in the roof can't sit. We've got to get this figured out now, or else it's going to cause more issues down the road. So, hey, and that's part of setting it up from the beginning too, is figuring out what do we have to work with here? How much cash do we have? What's our down payment look like? What do we feel comfortable spending? So absolutely. Are you comfortable with fixing this? If yes, great. We can do that. However, if you're not, then I don't know that this is going to work out. Okay.
As is, there might be more.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where we went earlier with, are they handy? If they're not handy, they have no cash, your house is going to fall apart, dude. Right? If you have cash to go spend on repairs, or you're handy, and then you can identify the problems, how comfortable are you with identifying problems? Then we can move forward. It's all about how comfortable they feel with making that kind of stuff. Okay, give me one more question on there on what you're gonna ask your client about that deal. Okay, perfect. So we're figuring out how much you comfortable spending a month, right? Then we're walking them through one, not only the mortgage side of things, taxes, insurance, cable bills, stuff like that, utility costs, saying, okay, here's what all this is going to look like. So then more than likely, they're just thinking about what the banker told them. They're not thinking about the other stuff that's going to come with it, right? So absolutely. Then we can figure out if we've got to go higher than 155, there's other offers. How high can we actually go, right? So setting the expectation of how much can we actually spend here. Okay, where's my doodadder? There it is. Okay, now we're in the present stage. So we have what we're gonna do. We have a game plan with our client. Now we've got to write the offer and go present it. So what we're talking about here, we're presenting an offer. We're paying attention to verbal and nonverbal cues. We're keeping quiet once you present an offer. Listen carefully to what's important to the other party. Stay calm and relaxed. Focus on the customer's needs and give your offer the best chance, right? So right off the bat, give your offer the best chance. We're not going to go in and say, hey, man, we're $5,000 below your asking price. We're probably not going to get this. Here you go. Take it, right? That's a given. Two things, focus on your customer's needs and listen carefully to what's important to the other party. In my mind, listen careful to what is important to the other party is not in the present stage. That's in the prepare stage, right? Because we have cell phones and we can call people so easily now, we call them up and say, hey, what's important to you? Before I write this offer, what's important to you? That does two things. One, you get on the same page with them. If it is a multiple offer situation, you know how to beat the other offers. You know what's important to the seller already. If you can do those things, great. If not, no big deal, but at least we know. And that may even weed out some wasted time to where they say, well, we've got to have 20,000 over asking. We've got to close in 2 days. And we need you to cover all the seller's closing costs. Okay, well, we're not going to do that. So let's just not do this. Saves you some time there. Paying attention to verbal and nonverbal cues. This can be important. And again, this is more prepare stuff in my mind. However, when we're talking to the other agent, we're finding out what's important to their client, whether it's a seller or buyer, we are paying attention to how they react to little things. So, hey, can you guys close in 30 days? And if they say, nope, can't do it, they got to be out in 15 days. That's pretty direct, straight to the point, right? If we go to them and say, hey, can you guys close in 40 days? And they say, well, we'd really like to close in 45, right? There's a little bit of hesitancy there. They're not real set on that. We can probably work around that. Go and ask more questions there. Okay, cool. What's important about 45? Well, they don't have to close in 30 days. They really want to. Okay, great. So if we gave you the other terms that you wanted, we could close in 45 days. Yeah, probably could do that. Cool. So get in there, figure out what's important to them, then move forward. If you feel hesitancy in any question that you ask, dig into it. Feel even more uncomfortable because that's where you're going to get the most information, right? Okay. Listen carefully to what's important to the other party, obviously. Stay calm and relaxed. This is the biggest thing for me. In my mind, we are supposed to be totally transactional through this, right? So with our clients, we are there for black and white. We're there to tell them how this is going to work. When we are presenting an offer to another agent, it's black and white. This isn't us offering. This is our client offering. This is what they want to do. We coach them on it. However, here you go. Here's our offer. Here's our inspection notice. Here's our repair request. Here's our response to that. Whatever it means. With me talking to other agents, it's like, this is black and white. There is no emotion involved for me because this doesn't affect me personally. This affects them. It is a very transactional basis. It is, okay, tell me what you guys want. And this is where I guess I try to be the other way is I'm not going to just blab and give them all this information and stuff like that. However, I'll ask them questions. It's tell me what you guys want and I'll go back to them and see if we can make it happen. Right. And then we come back. Hey, we can do this, but we'd like this. Can we do this? Can we do that? However, the whole thing is very transactional and black and white is the way that I see it. And I tell this to my buyers and sellers is my job here is to be emotionless. It's your job to have the emotions. It's fun. You're buying a house, you're selling a house, biggest purchase of your life. Have some fun with it. You guys worry about that. Let me be emotionless and take care and be even keel for you so that we're not making emotional decisions. It's okay to be emotional, be happy, be sad, be whatever you want to be. However, when it comes down to making decisions, we're not going to make decisions out of emotion. We're going to make decisions out of logic so we know we're doing the best thing is for you. And that's my job, is to be the logical one and not be black and white. Same thing with the other agent. I'm not there to yell and scream if their client does something that I don't like. It's not them making the decision unless they tell me it is. However, more than likely it's not. It is, they will do this or they will not do this. And then I'll go back to my client and say, hey guys, this sucks, but this is what they're wanting. We're validating feelings. And at the same time, we are very, very transactional in my mind, in the sense of we're there to tell them what we want. We're here to we're to hear what the other side wants and communicate that back and forth. Okay, now we're on to position. Buyer wants to close in 60 days. Seller wants to close in 30 days. Bam, again, we're asking questions. What's important about closing in 30 days to you? What's important about closing in 60 days to you? Figure out what the goal is and why it's important to them. Then once you figure that out, then you can determine whether it's a non-negotiable or not. That's the thing with buyer's consult. You'll sit down and say, okay, well, we want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath under $180,000 and we want 20 acres. Okay, guys, that's not realistic. You've been pre-approved up to 180. We might be able to find you a half an acre right now. However, 20 acres is not doable. Let's set those expectations. They're going to tell you that they have to have things also on the flip side that they don't actually have to have. Okay, what do you have to have? Well, we have to have a basement with a movie theater. Okay, cool, sounds good. Then they send you 20 houses that don't have a basement with a movie theater. It's like, guys, you just told me you had to have this. None of these houses have that. What's going on? Well, if it's the perfect house, we can get away with not having the movie theater. Okay, great. So we can not have a movie theater in the basement. Well, yeah, that's fine. Okay, cool. Now we know. Thank you. Ask questions, figure it out. Exactly. And so that's part of the refining. Back to your situation with, they go and say, okay, well, and I'm going to be hypothetical here. Well, we're willing to do quite a bit of work. Okay, cool. We go look at a house. Oh, there's popcorn ceilings. We don't want that. Okay. Go look at another house. Well, the trim needs replaced. We don't want to do that. Okay, cool. What's important about the popcorn ceiling? Well, we just don't want to get up. That's going to take a lot of time. Okay, what's important about the trim? But that's going to take too much money. Keep asking the questions of what's important. You're not, especially with first-time home buyers, you are not going to get it on the first time, more than likely. With the third, fourth, fifth time home buyers, they can narrow it down quite a bit. First-time home buyers have no clue what they want. They've never looked at a house for themselves. They don't know how to look at a house. Continue to ask questions through the whole process of asking why stuff is important to them. Okay, page 12. We are, what time is it? It's 2:48. Time is this over 3:30? Is that right? Half hours? What does page 12 say? Let me read that real quick. I'm not going to actually break down into groups and do it, but I want to hear what it says. Page 12. The scenario. Is there a scenario on there? Okay, so are we just talking about how we're going to write our offer and position ourselves there?
As a buyer agent role and listing agent.
Okay, so it's having you guys break down into a group. You be the buyer agent, you be the seller's agent, and figure out how to negotiate that. Is that what it's asking you to do?
I don't know.
It is, yes.
Okay, sweet. You're no help. Okay. He just tells you how it is. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so who wants to be my buyer's agent? Better look up and somebody have their hand raised, or I'm calling somebody out. Boom, we got it. Okay, seller's agent. Okay, I'll be the seller's agent. What? Okay. So are you calling me to ask me what we're, okay, I need you gotta use the mic so we don't get yelled at again by the people online.
I'm trying to read.
Perfect.
Okay, let me. Oh,
We're just doing a little bit of
I'm
role
reading
play here.
yours. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
getting advanced notice.
Okay.
Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi Trey, this is Cassandra Jones with Keller Williams. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good. I'm calling about your property on Main Street, the one listed at 350.
Okay,
So I was just checking. Have you guys gotten any offers yet?
we have.
Have you got any cash offers?
We've got one, we've actually got 3 total and one of them's cash.
Okay. Any over ask?
Yep, all 3 of them are.
Okay. Any with contingencies, if you can tell me.
Well, yes, there is one.
Okay. What would be the most important thing to your seller when taking an offer? What are we looking at?
They're wanting to make the most money that they can.
Okay. And let's see. I gotta figure out who my guys.
Yep, you're good. One thing real quick that I want to throw in there, of where I would have dug in. Sorry, I don't know how you guys are not getting restless because my leg. But I'm all over the place. So one thing real quick right there is which offer has a contingency? The question to ask that I would dig into there. Okay, is it the cash offer that has a contingency?
Okay.
Or is it a different one? Is the cash offer the best offer? Is the cash offering the most money? If so, we know we've got to come beat that cash offer if we're not, right? So dig into that contingency a little bit more and find out which one that we're after.
Is a contingency always like whenever you say an offer has a contingency, is that always their house selling?
Not always. A contingency could be, however, more than likely, yes. That's
Appraisal. I mean, people are waiving appraisals, which we now know it doesn't
Okay.
exist anymore.
So yeah, so there's people waiving the appraisal contingency. However, when we're asking for if there's a contingency on that, then what's the contingency, right? There's another question there. What's the contingency? Which offer has a
Right.
contingency? More than likely, yes. 99% of the time, the contingency is going to be that we've got to sell a house first before we can buy it. Okay, great. Is it listed yet or is it under contract yet? Dig into that contingency. However, no, it doesn't have to be. We can write anything into a contract, right? So I can give you a contract that says, hey, I'll give you $180,000 for your house. However, it's contingent on when the purple elephants start walking around Springfield or whatever it's going to be, right? We can write that in. It is more than likely not going to happen in the next month or two. However, you can write anything in. Bad example.
So a question I have for you, would a short closing time be beneficial to your client?
Yes, it's not the most important thing. However, yeah, they are moving and they're actually renting to the new place that they're moving. So they don't have to sell it. They don't have to buy something else. However, a short moving time or short closing time would be great.
Okay. I'm going to step back just a minute and ask a question
Yeah, go
about a
for it.
question.
Cool.
Your cash offer, was it your highest offer?
It was not actually.
And did it have a contingency or can
It
you
did
tell
not.
me what your contingency offer was?
Well, it's for just, they've got to sell a house.
Okay,
The cash offer was not the one with the contingency.
okay,
And the cash offer was not the highest in price either.
okay. Are you at a point in your agency that you can tell me what their offer was? Or what I would need to do to beat
There you
it?
go. So I'm not going to give out the numbers.
Okay. But it sounds like if we had a good offer with a short, I just went completely blank.
Are you good?
a short closing time, that would be a pretty enticing offer.
Yeah, it would.
I'm sorry, I lost all my
Yeah,
words.
you're good. You're good. You're good. You're
I had to
good.
make up other
I know,
words.
this stresses me out. So you're doing awesome.
I had to make up all the other words. So at that point, should we talk about the offer?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
So if I were to offer your client 340,000, with the fastest closing time, we'll say 20 days. Is that something your clients would consider
Be more direct.
heavily?
Boom, be more direct right
Okay.
there. Hey, here's what I've got.
Okay,
I've got it written up for you. I'm just waiting on them to sign it, but I'm gonna let you know what it is beforehand. We're offering 345,000. We don't have a contingency and we're gonna close in 30 days. Normal appraisal period, normal inspection period. Does that get this done for us?
okay,
Boom, does that get it done? Does this win it for us? Is that gonna be the best offer
Okay.
in your mind?
Yeah.
And make it about them more
hmm,
than is your client gonna accept this? Cause we never know what the client's gonna do, right?
okay.
We have an idea.
Is this something you can sell?
Yeah, and
Is
in
that
my
what-
mind, that would be the best offer.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, I've had it
very
happen.
surprised.
Yeah.
And that's how.
I've won
that's-
both of mine that way.
This is exactly how I ask, is it is straight to the point and it is, hey, here's what we're doing. We're gonna offer you 345,000, normal inspection, normal appraisal. However, we don't have a contingency to sell a house and we want to close in 30 days. Does that win it for us in your minds? And that's how we win our buyers. That's how we beat 10, 12, 11, whatever it is, other offers, is by being incredibly direct with the close-ended questions and then digging into the open-ended questions after. 1, 2, being this, not something I should say, however, being the last one to put your offer in for your buyers. If there's a multiple offer situation, be the last one to put your offer in and stay in touch with that agent the whole time. If they list on a Friday and they're accepting on Sunday, don't put your offer in until Sunday. And if they're giving you a deadline of 7 PM, put your offer in at 6:50 kind of deal, 6:55, and be on the phone of, hey, anything changed, anything changed, anything changed, anything changed. That way it's 7 o'clock when they're done accepting offers, you know if you've got it or not. Your clients don't know. We're not going to tell them something prematurely, but you're on the phone showing that agent, hey, I'm here to get this done. I'm not here to play games and beat around the bush with you. I'm here to tell you exactly what you're doing. I want you to tell me exactly what we're doing. Let's get your seller the best offer possible. Straight to the point, black and white, easy to understand, no BS kind of deal. Do what?
I have right now are all FA.
Okay. So
That's a tough one.
as far as going and beating other offers, is that what you're saying? Absolutely. It is incredibly hard to go beat other offers with an FHA. However, if you know what you have and you know what everybody else has, and you go ask questions like that, where you're saying, hey, tell me, this is what I'm showing you all my cards. And that's what you're doing by saying, we're offering 345, normal appraisal, no, whatever. We need to close by this time frame. You're showing everything that you've got.
I even had one
And you can just tell. And those people are just not sure if they will tell you or not.
It was like, I think if we have.
And you can just get a general idea. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So to answer that question is with FHA, if you are on the phone with them up until they're going to accept an offer, you know what they're going to have. If you have an agent, if you ask the right questions to get in with that agent and show the agent, hey, I'm going to be 100% transparent with you. There's going to be some agents out there that keep their cards closed and say, no, I'm not going to tell you anything. In my mind, that's an old school way of thinking. And it was very valid when we didn't have 10 offers on a house, right? If we have no offers on a house or just one other offer, the house has been on the market for 45 days, if they're not going to tell you what the other offers are, probably not good offers, right? Because they're trying to get you to offer more. Now, in my mind, if I have a seller and we've got 5 offers that are already $10,000 over asking price, I'm going to go tell that other agent, I'm going to go tell that buyer's agent, hey, you need to be over 10 grand over asking price. They say, okay. either they can do it or they can't, but if they can do it, that's an extra $1,000 in my seller's pocket. So yeah, absolutely. I'll play that game all day long and tell them exactly, I'll tell the buyer's agent exactly what they need to do. And I'll go and ask the seller's agent, what exactly do we need to do? So with an FHA, it's going to be incredibly hard because you've got to go beat conventional loans still. However, at least you know, kind of thing. You know what you need to do. And then you can go tell your sellers, hey, sorry, we're FHA. We got to be 20 grand over asking price instead of 10 grand because we're FHA. And they'll either do it or they won't. If they won't do it, no big deal. However, at least you know where you stand. And that's the whole thing here is know where you stand and ask the questions to get in with the other person, whether it's your client or your agent. Right? Okay. Amy said, good job, by the way, on the role play. So rock and roll. Love it. Okay. So we're going to move on from that. We are now at analyze. I've got a thing in front of that. Analyze counter tactics. Read each tactic. Okay, is this the one where they're going over the good cop, bad cop stuff? You guys see that? Is that what this is? Good guy, bad guy, not good cop, bad cop. Okay, cool. So nibbling, and we're just gonna go over this with the group. 30 minutes left. Nibbling, is there an example on there for nibbling?
Party will start nibbling.
Okay, so then that's just the tedious, annoying, hey, we want this, hey, we want this, hey, we want. Or you can turn that around, nibbling and asking questions, turn the nibbling into questions. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And that is, there's some buyers that we won in the past couple months that we won in multiple offer situations just because we asked more questions than anybody else. That's it, because we got more information. And there was a deadline at, actually we had the sellers where the other agents, the buyer's agent won because they were the ones asking us questions and right up until the deadline. And where there's other agents that'll put the offer in 24 hours before they're even accepting anything and then not talk to the other agent at all to find out where they're at. And they're just kind of throwing up a prayer of, hey, here you go. If you're making your highest and best offer at that point, then it doesn't really matter. But if you've got some wiggle room and you can go up a little bit, then go ask as many questions as you can, kind of deal. So nibbling, boom, 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 ask.
So what about
Nibbling in the sense of question. Not, we want this, we want this, we want this, we want this.
How does that?
Because you know more than the other agents do.
At the eight.
Huh? Absolutely. Yeah, shoot you out. And that's, so again, our job in negotiating here for our buyers in a market where we have to have the most information in order to know the best offer that we need to put, right? So if they're approved at 175 and the house is priced at 175, you can't go up any, right? You can't, because the bank won't give them money for it. Now, if they're approved at 175 and you're looking at a 155 house, they can go up 20 grand and still get a loan on it. If it appraises, we'll see, but they can still go up 20 grand. So what we're doing here with nibbling is constantly asking the question of, hey, what's the other offer? What's the other offer that just came in, right? Then, hey, what do you got now? Any other offers? Has anybody changed their offer? No, they haven't. Know where the other offers are at, so you know where you need to be now. And if you're consistent, not in a naggy, annoying way, but in a sense of, hey, I want to get your seller the most money here and the best terms. Tell me what we've got to do to beat whatever you've got already. Most of the time they'll tell you. And if they don't, then it's just another one or two questions to get them to open up. And if they're just going to say, well, I don't know about this. I don't know about this. Okay, great. There's a 30-day close that important to you? Does that beat your other offers? Yep, it does. Okay, we're gonna offer 185. Does that beat the other offers in terms of price? Yep, great. Okay, we don't have any seller's concessions either, by the way. Or, hey, we've got $5,000 in seller concessions that we need. If we give you an offer of 185 with those $5,000 of seller's concessions, are we in first place? Are we winning it? Kind of thing. Then it's a closed-ended question. It's a yes or a no. And they can't really beat around the bush, and there's not an open-ended question of, well, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. It's a yes or no. And it makes them, after you ask those closed-ended questions a few times, they're going to give you a yes or a no. So it's nibbling in the sense of continue to ask questions in a way that's giving you knowledge and is providing value to them, because that's going to get their seller a better offer, which in turn is going to make them look like a better agent, right? So we're trying to help it. That's the win-win portion of this. Tell us what we need to do to be the best. If we can't do that, no big deal. I'll tell you straight up. If I say, hey, we're going to offer 185, but we need 5,000 in concessions. Is that okay? And you say, no, that's not going to get it done. Then I'm going to go back to them and say, hey guys, we're already beat. We're not even going to write an offer, kind of thing. And so they know, and it makes you look good because you're in the know on everything else, kind of deal. Especially if they've done this before, they're not going to have another agent that's done that. That's asking questions that way and giving them that much knowledge. So
you almost.
oh yeah, absolutely. Every single time the agent's going to know what our offer is before I send it in an email. That's me talking to them on the phone, because I tell them, hey, I want to talk to you before I send this, kind of thing. So they're going to know exactly what's coming. And at that time, 95% of the time, I'm going to know if we're winning or not, kind of deal. So it's nibbling, asking enough questions to have enough information. Good guy, bad guy, test the validity. This kind of goes back to, okay, you guys said you need a 30-day close, but if we needed a 45-day close, what's something that we could give up in return to make that an acceptable offer for you? Then you can find, if they say nothing, there's nothing you can give us, we have to have a 30-day close. Okay, get it. You're not budging on that. Hot potato, ask for a concession in return before agreeing to anything else. So we send you an offer. They say, no, we need the price raised $5,000. Okay, great. We'll do that, but will you give us this in return? Right? Get them to say yes or no before you actually agree to raise the price or whatever it might be. Again, these tactics, guys, all of these are just asking questions. And if they say, no, we need something different. Okay, great. I get that. If we did that for you, could you do this for us? Kind of thing. Or what's important about the 30-day close. What's important is the most valuable question you can ask in any negotiation situation, whether it's with your clients in the consultation or with the other agent throughout the whole process. Okay, real play, employ the 3 Ps. What are we doing here? Who's a partner? Okay. Who wants to volunteer? Anybody want to volunteer? You're going to learn more by volunteering than by sitting and listening. What did you say? Okay, Tim, you volunteer then. Okay, what's the scenario? Well, that's good. Somebody else read, you don't have to. I do want the listing agent role. Okay, sweet.
Are you good, Savannah?
Tim's doing, Tim got signed
Oh,
up.
Tim's doing
Unless
it.
you want to do it, because he said he didn't want to do it. So which one wants to do it?
I
When
really want to do it, but that's just one person right here.
whoever wants to do it can do it. Okay,
Okay.
Savannah, you're doing it.
I don't know what we're doing yet.
Okay,
Oh.
your client has
I
found
just read?
the house they love.
Okay.
Okay, so your client has found the house that they love and it's in the neighborhood they want. It is at the top of their price range and does need some work updating the kitchen and master bathroom. Your client makes an offer on the property and the seller's agent says, I must warn you that we've gotten several offers and yours is pretty low. Now, should we read mine also? Seller needs to move within 45 days. Okay, so my seller needs to move within 45 days due to a job transfer. You feel that you've priced the house competitively, you're aware the house needs updating, but the sellers don't see the need because the house is just fine for them. They have multiple offers. And multiple offers. How do you read? Oh, the latest offer is lower than asking price. Okay, the other offers are still standing. Timing may not work for the seller. You've let the buyer's agent know I must warn you, we've gotten other offers and yours is pretty low. Okay, so I've got offers. I've told you, we have other offers. Yours is low compared to those. Okay,
Okay. And so am I talking back to you, or I could go back to my buyer and just tell them what the agent
whatever,
said?
do what, okay,
Okay.
so ring, you're calling me. Hey,
Okay.
FYI, Savannah, your offer is pretty low. We have other offers. Okay, boom. You can hang up the phone and go talk to your people, or you can talk to me. Either one, doesn't matter. There's not a right or wrong.
Okay, so are there other terms that are important to your buyer that may, like a closing date or, inspection contingencies or?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got to close, we've got to be moved in 45 days.
Okay,
We've got a job. We're moving to Seattle, Washington, and we've got to be there in 45. We've got to be leaving Springfield in 45 days. So we need to be closed in 45 days.
okay, so if we could accommodate that, the closing date that your sellers want, and then would our offer still be too low?
It would. We do have another offer that is set for 45 days. We've got one that's set for 45 days. The others are set for 60 days, actually.
Okay. I would probably hang up and call, well, thinking.
You're good. Again, there's not a right or wrong here.
Yeah.
So if you tell me you're going to hang up, that's not wrong.
I'd probably hang up and call my buyers
Okay.
and tell them that, just what the listing agent said, that they want a 45-day close. They do have multiple offers, and that are accommodating that. And, you know, your offer is a lower offer. So if you kept it the way it is it all right with you that you probably wouldn't win this one, or are you willing to go higher?
Great question right there.
Yeah.
Not winning this if you keep your offer the same. Go ahead, Shane. You're good. Yeah. We're getting a mic for people online. Hold on. Here, I got it. Is it off? Okay.
Well, I'd probably ask, if we closed in 30 days, how would our offer look then?
Okay, perfect, absolutely. So then that gives you a leg up, right? You're saying, hey, we can close in 30 days. We can beat the other offer right there, right? So boom, that's a question one to your buyers. If you don't know it already, can you guys close sooner than 45 days? Because they've got to get their bus out of here in
Okay.
45, right?
Yes.
So absolutely, great question there. Love the question of, are you guys okay with losing this if you don't change your offer? And if they say yes, they're not that sold on the house, right?
Yeah.
And our job is to get them the house that they love. So if they're not in love with the house enough to change their offer, boom. Okay, great. Sounds good. Let's not waste any more time. Let's move on and go find the one that you do love. Second, if they say, no, we really want this house, right? How do we go get it then? One, how do we change the closing date? How do we be more accommodating to the sellers? We've got multiple people that we're competing against. We've got to go be competitive. What's going on with the closing date? Why is that important? Why is 45 days important? We figured that out.
These sellers
Keep
are
going.
moving to wherever. I can't remember.
Seattle, I just told
Seattle,
you.
I'm
I'm just kidding. Okay, so absolutely perfect. Okay, keep going with your buyers or call the seller, do whatever you want to.
So if they say that they are willing to change their offer, they, like Tim said, what price would you be comfortable with, and not regret, if you want it?
Perfect. Then we're black and white. Then we've got, hey, we can close in 30 days and we can go up to this other offer, right? So we can go up to this amount of money and we can change this. All the other terms and conditions are the same. So then we go back to the, then we're going back to the listing agent at that point.
Mhm.
Because we can beat them. If we can beat them just by one thing, we don't have to change anything else. Let's not change anything else.
Right.
Right. Talk to the lender. It all depends on their loan. Did they say? Doesn't have any information.
Mm.
So if they can close in 30 days, great. If not, if they can't close in 30 days, then we can't give that to them, right? We're an FHA loan. We can't close in 45 days, or we can't close in 30 days. We've got to keep that term the same in our contract. What other terms can we change? Then can we change price? Yes or no? Can we change then at that point earnest money? Can we change closing costs? Can we say we're not going to ask, can we buy the house as is? Can we take the appraisal out? Do we have stacks of cash laying around to where we can pay the appraisal gap? What's going on there? So it's about figuring out what do we need to do? If we can't close in 45 days here, we're not getting the house, right? No matter what we offer. Sure, absolutely. However, they just said they have to move in 45 days. They have to be gone. I'm telling you right now, they couldn't. They have to close in 45 days. Seller's agent said no. Now, but ask the question, right? That's the whole point there is ask the question. I might tell you no, but ask the question. Yeah, absolutely. Sure, absolutely. That's my favorite question. What do we need to do to get this done? That's the first question before I say, oh, we're going to offer 185, we're going to do all this. Because they might tell me, hey, our best offer is 175, right? So what do we need to offer to get this done? And let them blab. They might not blab. Then we got to get more specific. But if I say, hey, what do we got to do to get this done? You got to offer 175. Everything else can be straight up. Oh, okay. That's fine. Hmm? Yeah, absolutely. And the nose, dig into the nose. Ask more questions and then even circle back around to the nose. And then if they give you a no, ask a very, very direct question of if we have this, if we have a 30-day close instead of a 45-day close and we have these other terms, does this get it done for us? And there's not a maybe. It's ask questions that are yes or no questions. Okay. You got more?
So, I mean, as far as you're willing, like you said, to pay the appraisal gap if it doesn't appraise, if they do go higher.
Yep. Cool. So as you saw, see, it wasn't bad. It wasn't that bad,
No, it wasn't.
right? Okay, cool. I was nice. Keep that in mind. Now, with that being said, it's about asking the right questions. That starts with, where are we at here? Breaking down the common negotiation points, knowing where in the contract we're going to be negotiating. Is that blocking that? Oh, you want that back? I was going to try and steal it from you. We've got to know the points of negotiation in the contract. In the transaction timeline from start to finish, where are the points of negotiation and what is negotiable, right? And then we figure out what's important to both the buyer and seller to create a win-win situation for everybody here. That's kind of the recap. Now, we talked about a lot more in there. However, know what you're negotiating, know what's important to both parties. Going back to it, ask as many questions as you possibly can. And to the point to where you're going to bug the other agent. If you're asking a seller's agent, if you're asking a listing agent, all of these questions and saying, hey, I'm trying to get you the best deal that I can because my people really want this house. They're going to work with you, right? Because then that's going to give their clients better terms and an easier deal for them. If they can have a deal that cancels the inspection period and the appraisal period and is cash, close in 10 days, and that's what everybody wants, they're gonna say, heck yeah, I'll tell you exactly what you need to know. Let's get this thing done, right? So it's asking the questions and getting inside the head to figure out what's important to them and why, and continuing to do that and understand what can be negotiated on is all it's about. So create your success list. What is that? You guys done that before, or is that just me? Well, first, before we do that, I do want to do, this just popped up here. What ahas did you guys have? I know the ahas are always fun, but what are the biggest things that you guys took away from today so far up to this point, I guess? Absolutely. That's how that's all of our buyers that we've won. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes there's somebody moving in with cash that's going to offer 50 grand over the asking price, and we can't do that because we're FHA and we're only approved up to the asking price. Sometimes you just don't win. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, be up there and be in somebody's face saying, hey, does this win or not? Like, just tell me point blank. If it doesn't win, you're not going to hurt my feelings. But at least I know to not wait around on you, right? Or, hey, does this win? And they say, no, it doesn't right now. Okay, what do we need to change? And then if you can figure out what you need to change and make your offer better, then they're going to be willing to work with you because you're getting a better deal for their side and you're getting done for your clients what they want done, which is to buy that house. So it's not a matter of bugging them. It's a matter of staying in the know so that at any point in time, within reason, your clients can call you and say, hey, where are the other offers at? And you say, well, we're getting beat right now. We need to change this. We need to change that kind of thing. What time is it?
So Amanda put up there, ask more questions to the listing agent, which that's what I was going to say. But
Yep.
also, I almost feel like we've got so many scripts and so many kind of checkpoints of what we do. I feel like I need to write one for this as well,
Okay.
and making sure it starts simple
Uh-huh.
and then complicated. So like,
Okay.
what do I need to do to win this?
Mhm.
And if I can't get something from there, then move on from that. So I have like an almost diagram. If I don't get this, let's go to here
Yep.
and memorize that. Obviously, I don't necessarily want to, what do I need to do?
Okay, absolutely. And so this visual, so I'm going to have this visual up here real quick for you. And as far as what questions to ask and the type of questions to ask is in an hourglass kind of mentality, if you will. So we're going from broad question up here to a little point. I don't even know that we need this portion of the triangle here. It made sense in my mind at first. Now it sounds stupid. So if these are levels of questions that we can ask, the more up here, these are the questions that this is one broad question and we're going to get all this information, right? If we don't get that answered, then we're going to move down here. We're going to ask a more specific question. We're going to get less information from a more specific question. However, that then opens up doors for more questions, right? If we have one answer, then we can move on to something else. If we have no answer, we can't move on to anything, right? So start up here and ask very broad questions and try to get the most information you can. If that doesn't work, move down here. That doesn't work, move down here. That doesn't work, move down here. Until you get to the point where you've got a yes or no.
But I think
Okay.
talked about here.
Okay.
Like all the questions.
Uh-huh.
Conveyance.
Yep.
What questions to ask around conveyance? What questions to ask around closing date? What questions to ask? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh,
Like
absolutely.
really, I've got to know all those questions because
Yeah.
we're learning it, but. Right. Mhm.
You have to.
Yeah.
If you don't know the sale contract, you can't negotiate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I have a backup to like, if I get a no answer, what's my next one? So like,
Okay,
cause
cool.
we're not
Okay.
thinking that way yet. We
Yeah.
just don't have that. Cause you guys are like all 3 deep and I'm like, I can barely get one.
Sure,
So,
sure.
really,
Absolutely.
that's me getting deeper into that to make sure I know that answer.
So part of that is experience. Part of that is go listen and ask questions. I mean, that'd be something I can stay here and hang out for another 30 minutes and talk about that all day long because I love, that's part of the game to me is being able to get in there and know more. If we've got 10 offers, I love multiple offer situations by our agent because it's fun. It's a game of how much information can I get out of the listing agent. And sometimes it turns out we can't do what the other offers can and we're out of it. However, if we've got wiggle room and I can figure out what the other offers are doing, then I can go beat them, right? So that's something right there. Whenever, if you want to talk about those specific list of questions, we're 4 minutes away from being done. Technically, you guys I'll hang out for as long as you guys want to. However, absolutely learn that list of questions for sure. Okay, what else? Ahas. Anything? We've got, Amanda said, ask the listing agent more questions. We've got that. Any other big pieces you guys took away from today? Okay. Yep, you're
Listening
good.
more, because I think in the past I've been bad about, like I'll ask the listing agent those questions, but if they don't answer right away, and then I'll like try to ask a different question.
Uh-huh.
But I think what I'm learning is it's maybe okay or good to be okay with that awkward silence for a little bit,
Those are
maybe.
fun.
Those are
See who'll
fun,
talk
yeah.
first.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a fun game and it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, very.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, part of that is part of this is being uncomfortable. So, yeah, Kirk says worst they can say is no. Ask if they say no. Okay, great. You're not going to tell me black and white. Make it black and white so I know where we're at here. Once I know where we're at, we can move forward. So, okay, anything else? Any other ahas or anything? Okay, so daily success habits. So this is where I wanted to get in with this. You guys feel free to get up and leave. I know it's 3:30. That's what this is scheduled for. If you guys have other stuff to do, go do it. I'll stay down here for as long as you guys want. Okay. And okay, absolutely do it. Daily success habits. So we're getting back into lead gen stuff, right? Up until this year, it's been Sphere and referrals is all it's been. I haven't done anything else. I called like 2 expireds in my entire life and I have knocked on like 2 for sale by owner doors. I did a little bit of prospecting. However, I was at Remax at the time and they had, this company is called In-House Realty. And they worked with Quicken Loans. Somebody get pre-approved with Quicken Loans. Quicken Loans would send them to In-House Realty if they didn't have a realtor, and then they would then disperse those leads. So what it was a pay per lead. So it was a 35% referral to In-House Realty, which is fine because I'm starting out. I don't have any other income at the time. You know what I mean? And so I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then I realized how horrible it was to work with Quicken Loans. And I actually told them to stop sending me leads. I didn't want to. That was less money, but it was a lot of headache. And actually they got mad at me because I think Quicken Loans sent In-House Realty a lead who sent it to me. I said, yes, I would work with them, sign the agreement. And then I got them to switch to a different lender. So, and then I think I got our whole office like banned for 6. So, however, that guy bought and sold 3 houses. So it was okay. And I didn't have to work with Quicken Loans anymore. I'm trying to think. Learning the process of negotiating is, you guys have awesome tools here. I wish I would have learned here because my first transaction, trying to think, my buyers, it was another Quicken Loans deal. Hey, text me if you want to set something up. Okay, cool. My first transaction ever was one of those Quicken Loans deal, but I had no idea. I had no guidance on the process of the transaction or anything like that, and I did have buyer's documents signed. That was cool. However, also the culture fun part of this, how good you guys have it. How have you guys, anybody not signed a buyer's agreement or seller's agreement with anybody yet? Anybody have one? You haven't signed one? Seems like a pretty daunting task right now, probably. Here, they'll ring bells and stuff for you and all that, which is awesome. Thanks, Kurt. Come by and see us if you need to. And it's awesome. And it's real and people are excited for you and it's great. One of our like managing brokers over where I was at, I walked in on a Monday, signed a buyer agreement on a Sunday and walking through the halls and he said, Trey, how's it going? I said, well, good. I signed a buyer's agreement this weekend. He goes, that's a start. Turns around and walks off. I was like, what? That's insane. Anyway, moving forward with that. So anyway, we went and looked at the house. They said, hey, I want to offer 152 on it. I said, great. Let me go run comps. And then you guys keep talking about what you want to offer. I'll call you back. And so I called him back and I said, hey, I ran comps. What do you want to offer? I said 152. I didn't even tell him anything about comps. I don't even know why I said that, but I was told to say it and I didn't know what to do. So yeah, I was like, hey, I ran comps. Okay, cool. What do you want to offer? They said 152.5. I said, okay, sounds good. I'll let you know what they say. And so I called the other agent. I said, hey, they want to offer 152.5. And it was actually Ethel Kerbo, I think is who it was. And she said, okay, are you going to send an offer? And I was like, I don't know. So I had to call my clients back. I said, hey, actually, I need you guys to come to the office and sign some stuff for me. I had no idea what to do. So anyway, yeah, that was kind of fun and embarrassing. I've learned by fire. Okay, what general questions, lead generation, negotiations, contracts, what questions you guys have? I know lead generation is the big question. That's the biggest reason that people get out of this industry is because they don't have enough business coming in to support their lifestyle, right? It sounds great. It's fun. You can go make as much money as you want. You can have all the free time you want. Unfortunately, you have to pay for stuff in life and it costs money. So we got to make money, right? Got to bring money in. What questions you guys have over that? I know we talked a little bit about lead gen, but what other questions you got there? Okay. Anybody else? Go for it. No, you guys are good. Seriously. Okay. Cool. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Let me know again to everybody here. Feel free to go whenever you need to go, but go for it. Our door's always open, so come by and see us. You got it. Oh yeah, let them know. Okay. You guys have any other questions before you head out? Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
You got it. Absolutely. Come by and see us. Boom. Go get it. Okay. Well, go bugger. Go see where they're at. Okay. I don't know what to do. Nicole, if you're listening, help. No problem, Amanda. Come see us if you need anything. Stop share. I'm going to call her and ask. You got it. Let us know if you ever need anything, guys. Seriously. Yep. No problem, Amy. Help. I hear you. Bye.
Trey, my name is Jason Gaynor. I was referred to you by Adam Grady. Adam passed along your information to me as I am doing an infill just right over by his so I need an outdoor sign. If you could give me back my office line, 7-829-2248. Just right over by his so I need an outdoor sign. If you line.
Hey, Jason, Trey Watson here. I missed a call from you a little bit ago about an office sign. Hey, so I think he probably gave you the wrong number on accident. I'm a realtor here at Keller Williams. And so he probably just hit my name instead of the person next to me. Yeah. Yeah, no problem. You got it all good. Good luck. See ya.